All right, let's talk about how, on YouTube, people are supposed to know what to expect at your channel. Like, you're not supposed to have a varied kind of, multifaceted channel. You're supposed to niche down. You're supposed to be one thing, kind of a monolith. People are supposed to show up and know exactly what to expect and what they're looking for. I don't know. I think it's open. It's a good discussion because I I prefer channels where I like the person. Like I like their personality. I I feel like I'm getting to know them. You know what I mean? Like I don't. I mean, yes. Sometimes I come to YouTube to learn something. Like if I'm looking for a new camera and I have one in mind, I might go watch some reviews for that particular camera. If I need to fix my faucet, and I don't know how to do that, or, repair a tire or something like that, I might look for that kind of YouTube video, and that's obvious. But I'm talking about like somebody who's posting all the time. I'm looking more for the person. Who are they? What do they stand for? What do they believe in? What are they talking about? And that can sometimes be many things, and I accept that. I don't need somebody to, like, there are some camera channels. I think there's a woman who's got a channel called Justine Files. Justine, Justine. I'll put a link in the description. And I love her channel so much because she's a photographer, and I think she's a filmmaker, or I don't know, maybe it's her husband or something who's making the actual videos and maybe editing. I don't know, maybe it's her. I mean, somebody's helping her because she's got a lot of shots where there's movement. But her channel is about so many different things. There's no way you can define this channel. I mean, sometimes her videos are technical photography videos, and sometimes, and I would say more often than not, they're kind of like life things, you know what I mean? Like being out in the world, traveling, dealing with emotional issues. Like she's a lot, and I just enjoy the videos so much because she's really intelligent and she's got a lot of interesting stuff to say. She's engaging. Her personality is, one that is kind of appealing, and that's the kind of channel that I like. And I have been definitely criticized for not being able to niche down on my channel, to not knowing what I am here, or, like defining what my channel is exactly. And what's interesting about that is that I have been kind of accused of that my whole creative career, in the music business, in theater. Like sometimes people say it's hard to kind of pin me down, to know what I am, that they want to classify me, or they want to put me in a certain kind of place. And as I've gotten older and as I've gotten, more experience, ants all over the place, I realized that, I've been fighting that my whole career, even to my detriment in terms of success and finance, not in terms of my art, because kind of doubling down on who I am and what I'm about has been probably the best thing about my art. Like it's allowed me to be who I am, to, grow as an artist and as a result, as a person. But it's definitely held me back in certain areas as well. And as I've gotten older, I realize I'm not resisting that anymore. I'm always going to be who I am, I've been doing it for so many years. And so I realized I'm going to do the same thing here at YouTube, And it's been to my detriment on YouTube because as I do a lot of different things, like some people will show up on my channel and I get these comments like, oh, this is so amazing. I love what you're talking about. You're a breath of fresh air, like all this stuff. And then if I do videos about something else, or I kind of reveal who I am and how I feel about certain things, people get put off sometimes because they're projecting what they want. Like I'm this kind of person that they want to be involved with, but not really. You know what I mean? Like they come in here gangbusters, and then once they really get to see that I could be many different things at the same time, which is fair, quite often they disappear. And, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I've gotten to a place in my life with my professional creative work and with my YouTube work here, with pretty much everything, my relationships. I'm always going to be me. I'm not trying to be anything but who I am. I'm not trying to, like make anybody else happy I mean, I'm not trying to make anybody mad. I'm not trying to make anybody sad. I'm not trying to attack anybody, but I'm always going to be me. You know, I'm just going to be who I am. I'm not going to put any bullshit into my life. You know, my bullshit meter is so powerful. So if you're bringing bullshit to me, you're going to know it immediately. Like, I am not down with the program. You know, bring your bullshit somewhere else. So it's interesting because on YouTube, I want to be successful here. You know, I want to make money on YouTube. I want to have bigger numbers so I could have sponsors and collaborators and things like that. But there's no way I'm willing to compromise who I am. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not willing to understand how YouTube works. And so as a result, like I said in the last video, I have made one big change where I decided to back off a lot. It's a train passing, so you still probably can hear me. But I mean, like, I'm not saying that I'm not willing to understand how this works and to quote unquote play by the rules to a certain extent, you know. And I've changed. Like, you know, I decided a couple of months ago that I was going to back off. You know, like, it took me 5 years to get monetized. And the reason I finally got monetized is because I finally really dedicated myself to YouTube while I was making a feature film, by the way. But I posted every single day for like a year. And all of a sudden my numbers exploded. And I got monetized, I got my watch hours, I got all of that, you know, my subscribers. And then I kept posting and I was making money. I was making about 160, 170 bucks a month, which might seem ridiculous to a lot of people if you're putting in every day. But for me, it was good to have an extra 170 bucks. And I felt like I was doing something that was growing. You know what I mean? Like, I was going to be able to make something out of this that would eventually get me to maybe a couple of grand a month, you know? You know, 700, 800, 1,500, 2,000, maybe 2,500. I mean, I know a lot of people earn good livings on YouTube, but I also always knew that I was not going to do YouTube as extensively as a lot of people. It was not going to be my main thing, my career. And so I thought, you know, according to everything that I saw around me, I was thinking, like, maybe I can do this, maybe I can get to like 1,500, 2,500, somewhere in there if I continue to post a lot. So then when I got monetized, I thought, man, I'm working on this feature film, which is also kind of a play. It's taken an incredible amount of my time and energy. I got to back off of YouTube because I'm shooting YouTube videos, you know, I'm like really focused on making them look good, setting up my lights and stuff, or coming to locations like I am here today, this beautiful location by the Hudson River. And then, you know, shooting all kinds of B-roll and stuff, which I'm not doing with this video. And it was just taking a lot of my time. So I actually said on my channel that I'm going to back off now. I'm not going to be here as often. And I hope people understand. And I thought in my head that now I had enough followers where I was going to at least be able to grow, maybe a little bit slower if I really continued to go every day. But I thought it would continue to grow if I did that. And then I'm telling you, within like a month, my numbers just plummeted, like went back to what they were 2 years ago, you know, where I'm getting like anywhere from 75 to 500 views. So, and 500 is a lot. You know, I was getting up to like 1,500, 1,800. I got 13,000 once. But now I'm back in that, you know, 100 to 200 range where I'm starting to have to envision myself in a small theater with 100 people to not be sad about the fact that it's just falling off. And so, you know, like I said in the last video, I decided to come back and do this every day, or as much as I can, you know, get close to every day. If there are circumstances that keep me from doing it one day, I'm not going to be upset about that. But, you know, I am willing to play by the rules to a certain extent. You know, I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to talk about a lot of different things. I just had a video about the movie Sinners, and it got horrible response. You know what I mean? Well, not a horrible response, but it didn't perform well, so to speak, in YouTube talk. And I'm like, you know, like a guy like Patrick Tommaso, if you know who he is, he's a filmmaker. He's got a big channel, and he could talk about films, and he could talk about stuff like that. But he's somebody who gets, you know, like 150,000 views, and, you know, he's a giant. He makes real money on YouTube, I'm sure of it. But I'm not at that place, so I am trying to figure out what I can do to to respect this platform, to take it seriously. But I also know that, you know, I got to keep hustling and doing everything else that I'm doing. And, you know, YouTube, it just might not happen the way I want it to, because I'm not going to niche down. I'm not going to do the things that you're really supposed to do. And honestly, I don't know if I even believe if those things really actually work. I'm not sure about that. But I'm just going to be true to myself. And I guess I wanted to sit here and talk about that. Like, I think what's appealing to me the most is when I feel like creators are being true to themselves. They're like I watch a lot of people in the filmmaking space, and I find that the people that I'm attracted to watch their channels are the people who at least feel like they're being genuine as to who they are, you know. And the people who are just like trying to make commercials, you know, and just like not really letting me know who they are, I can't watch their videos, you know. I mean, unless there's something specific there that I need to learn, I'm not going to come back, you know. But if you're somebody showing me your personality and talking about different things and showing me that you're a human being and that, you know, things matter to you in the world, it's much more appealing to me. Like I feel like, you know, I know you a little bit. Not that I think that you know anybody really on YouTube, but because I think if you think you know somebody, you're kind of projecting. You don't know anybody. But I'm more into seeing somebody who's a little bit more well-rounded, you know, and that's how I feel about myself. I'm interested in a lot of things. I'm definitely going to talk about social justice and politics and things like that sometimes. Yes, I'm going to talk about filmmaking. I'm going to talk about running. I'm going to talk about whatever happens to be on my mind at the moment, you know. I might talk about somebody who's going through something, you know. I mean, I might talk about relationships. I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff. But I'm always going to try to make it look good. It's always going to be about filmmaking first and foremost. Like, I approach YouTube like I'm making a documentary. And, but without focusing so much on the intricacies of making, like what I would do on a feature film, to make sure that the levels are correct and everything is perfect. Like, this is more run and gun, throw the camera up, do your best. I have plenty of experience, so I usually make it look good. And like right now, the light's going up and down because the sun is starting to come out, and it was really overcast when I first started this. I'm not going to adjust it or do anything like that, but I'm shooting in Vlog, so I get the most dynamic range. So if everything does change, I don't have to worry about it. And I don't like to shoot in, you know, auto mode. So, you know, it just shows you, like, I'm trying to do the best I can, but at the same time, I don't want to say it's just YouTube, because I don't want to disrespect YouTube, but for me, it's just YouTube. Which sounds weird because, you know, who am I to say it's just YouTube and then expect to make $2,500 a month? But I feel like I'm offering a lot here, just like everybody's offering a lot. There are certain channels where I feel like, man, like the Justine Files, I feel like she's offering a lot by letting us know who she is and really, you know, talking about meaningful things. And that's what I hope people feel about my channel. And I hope they come back, and I hope it does grow, and I hope it continues to evolve. And I hope people feel like they get something out of it. And I hope people understand and get the fact that I'm totally respecting you. And never, you know, never taking for granted that you're spending some of your time with me, coming here to my channel and, you know, watching and listening to what I'm talking about. You know, I appreciate that. So, yeah, that's what I want to talk about. Like, I personally prefer channels that are about a lot of different things, not just one thing. But I also do see the value in people that do just one thing. And if I'm in need of that at the moment, I'll come to your channel. But I'm much more apt to enjoy the channels that are about a lot of different things. So, yeah, that's it. And you know what? Somebody recently told me I need to talk about this more, so please subscribe, please hit the like button, please go to my website, go to my merchandise page, buy some prints. I got these beautiful photography prints that I'm so incredibly proud of them. When I saw the first actual prints, when I got them back last week, I was like, whoa. When your photography gets off the computer and onto some physical prints where you could frame them and put them up on the wall, man, that is some kind of magic that's going to like inspire you to do a lot of work. Trust me, it's really cool. Also, I love the fact of taking prints and just putting them in a box and being able to hold them in your hands and look at them and feel the paper and really look at the photograph up close instead of like up on a wall on a frame which is a more kind of conservative way of doing it. You know, like that's what you expect. People get something and then they frame it and they put it up and it's a piece of art. But sometimes it's also cool to have a box with a bunch of photographs, or, you know, maybe even Kodak, you know, like little pictures and also big pictures, and being able to physically hold them. You know, it's like having a vinyl record or a CD or a cassette that you can actually hold, and there's artwork, and it's not just what you're receiving on a computer. There's something really cool about that. So yeah, consider buying one of my prints. I'm actually about to redo the whole website for my photography, because I've gotten a bunch of complaints that people wanted specific prints, but they were only part of a group that you had to buy together. And I decided I'm going to eliminate that. I'm just going to have all the prints individually for sale, pretty much the same price for anything. Might be different for like a 5x7 or 11x14, but yeah, consider buying my prints. I have CD, I have a script, which is a book, I have a PDF poetry book, I have a subway map that's actually a series of haikus in photography, and please watch my movies. I'm so happy that my movie, The Center of Distance, is going to be a part of the Manhattan Film Festival in June. So if you're in the New York City area, come down to Cinema Village. I'll have the exact date pretty much over the next week or so. I would love to see some of you come down to the movie and watch it on a big screen with me. I shot that movie on my smartphone. It was the first film I ever shot, and I can't wait to see it on a big screen like that. And yeah, now this is like the longest ending to a video ever in the history of the world, so I'm going to stop right now.